Powered by Riverside FM.
This week, we pull back the curtain on the real work of paranormal investigation as we host the intrepid team from the Searcherz Society. They're sharing their most incredible findings, the science behind their quest, and the terrifying and enigmatic moments that prove some things cannot be explained. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
I don't know why I'm playing cheerful music, Jerry. I lost my butt playing poker the other day.
You did?
I learned a valuable lesson, though.
What is that?
You don't play poker at the zoo.
Really? Why?
Yeah, too many cheetahs.
Oh. I didn't know you went to the zoo, man. I was next door at the aquarium.
Oh, you were?
Didn't stay long.
No?
There's something fishy about that place.
I think we both get 2 thumbs up on tonight's dad jokes. That was fantastic.
Didn't plan it, and they still went together.
Now, here's the thing, though.
What's that?
Did you see Brett there?
I did not.
Because
was he there too?
Yeah, see, me and Brett actually went to the zoo together.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we kept seeing all these zookeepers around with their radios, and they kept saying, "Hey, he's right here. We got to get him." I turn around, and the next thing I know, they're hauling Brett off to the gorilla museum. So, not museum, but the
enclosure.
Enclosure. So apparently, if you want to see Brett, go to the Louisville Zoo, and he will be there in the gorilla enclosure today.
There you go.
That's where he was. I'm hoping that his wife is able to get him out. He's a pretty hairy dude, though. So I don't know.
If he had just allowed them to finish braiding that back hair, he wouldn't have looked so much like a gorilla.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Been a little more finesse look, I think.
I know. That's why he's not here tonight.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll get that worked out, and we'll have Brett back with us next week.
Well, if he could just stay out of trouble, he might get his name on the podcast at some point.
Yep, that would be nice. That it would.
So do you hear that? I don't know if at home you can hear that. We have the most hellacious thunderstorm coming over the studio right now.
Oh, we do. pulled it up. And it's not just the studio. It's
It's
everywhere.
pretty much all of Central Kentucky. So if you hear thunder in the background, it is not Jerry's dinner not agreeing with them. It is actually thunder.
Very true.
Man, we got a great guest tonight. I'm
Yeah, we
excited.
do.
I'm stoked. How's your week been though?
It's been very
It's-
good.
Let's not go too far.
Had a great week. I've got I'll say one thing about having pets, or a dog, a puppy specifically. They make life interesting.
Oh, dude, I love my dogs. I give them crap because a lot of times during the podcast and people hear Ramona or they hear Sketty. But I love them. I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade them for the world.
I do agree well with most of that. It's a young puppy. We're in the middle of, hopefully latter end of, but we're in potty training. So I can't say I wouldn't trade them for the world. There's been a few times I'd have traded them for 1/16 of a Twix bar, and I'm not a huge Twix fan. Most of the time, I love Finn though. Yeah.
You know, speaking of Twix bars and candy bars, I learned something the other day that I didn't know.
What is that?
If a Kit Kat on the line gets messed up, they just crush it up and it becomes a Kit Kat. It becomes the paste inside the Kit Kat.
There you go.
I thought that was neat. What a way to reduce waste.
Yep.
So,
Can't do that with all candy bars, that's for sure.
a couple of things.
Okay.
First thing is, for whatever reason, I have been stuck on these stupid videos about foreign countries and how they prepare their food.
Okay.
I don't want to offend any because we have 82 countries that tune into this
Right.
broadcast. So I don't want to offend you, but I have been watching the videos and I don't know how you're all not dead yet.
Is there a specific country you're referring to, or just the rest of the world?
India in particular
India.
at this point. I don't know that I could ever, if I ever go to India, which is on the bucket list, I'd love to go to India. I think I'll just starve, or I'm going to take all your Twix bars.
The most populated country in the world now. They passed
yeah.
China, right?
Yeah, they're no, I think they haven't passed, but per density.
Okay, is that it?
I think that's the
Okay.
the way that is. But yes,
So just in case you're wondering why we decided to piss them off, yeah, most populated country in the world.
well, and I don't mean to say it in a negative way, but there's a certain we don't serve food barefooted in America. You know, everybody's food gets individual containers. They use like bags to just dump soup in, and they give you like a old recycled Walmart bag full of soup, and you're supposed to be okay with that. And you've paid for that.
By the way, yes, 2025, the most populated country in the world is India.
Oh wow, yeah, I know. It's I just don't know that I would ever eat there.
Well, I would certainly eat there. I'm sure what you're referring to is probably a common use of a street vendor.
A street vendor, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm going to be accepting food in a recycled Walmart soup, not just any food, soup.
Yeah,
in
it comes in
recycled
soup with a
Walmart
bun
bag.
and some cheese. That's all I know. I don't know. It's got some beans and some green stuff, and it's in a bag. But I don't want to fixate on that. I want to take a second, Jerry, and you are a part of this
Okay.
because it's our podcast and we're allowed to do this. Saturday, I celebrated my 50th birthday.
That you did.
Um,
Congratulations.
First of all, I never in a million years thought I'd ever be 50. And now that I am 50, I don't feel 50. My body says I do, but my brain thinks I'm
There you
25.
go.
But I got to give props to my wife, Robin, who had a complete surprise birthday party for me. Rented a venue. It had a theme.
It was a
I
great
had
party.
people from all walks of my life in that was there, that showed up, that cared. It was a bit overwhelming in a good
Can
way.
imagine.
In a good way. There was a video done of a bunch of the people in my past with funny stories or whatever. Even my dog.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how badly I needed that video, that Sketty video, because I was building up to like just becoming a blubber fest. And then because my dog you've seen the videos of dogs that talk Sketty does that. And so that was her portion of the video, her talking. And I needed that laugh because I was about to just become a blubbery mess because I had a few drinks and it was an alcoholic party. So
it's hard not to get emotional at something like, if you're not going to get emotional at that, you probably don't.
And I just wanted to take a moment to thank you. You were there and helped, and everyone, my in-laws that came all the way from Tennessee, my sister-in-law, my mother and father-in-law, all the people here locally that kept this party completely away from me. It was overwhelming, wonderful, and I loved every single minute of it. And I love everyone who was there, wanted to be there, who was invited, couldn't make it. I get it. My dad and sister, they don't. My dad, if at dark he goes to bed, I get it. But just overwhelming and wonderful, and the best thing I could ever ask for.
Awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
Glad you had a great time. It was a great party. I know that.
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful. I can't imagine anything that would have been better.
Absolutely. And again, you're right. Robin did it all basically. She did a hell of a job of it.
Yeah, her friends, Robbie and Kendra, they really helped her. My sister-in-law Lindsay's a planner. That's what she does. Helped her plan it. And the only inkling that I even had something was going on was she had asked me back in January if it would be okay if I did something. And I'm like, sure, whatever. And I'm thinking, a little cookout here, whatever, no big deal. Nothing like what was. Yeah. And amazing.
Well, good.
Yeah, amazing. So anyway, we have an absolutely amazing guest tonight.
That we do.
Tonight we have Dakota with Soul Searcherz Society, and I'm so excited to have him on. Let's get to that, Jerry.
Let's get him on.
Jerry!
Hello, Mr. Steve.
We're back. I'm good, man. I'm good. We had a technical difficulty last week, so we had to run a rerun.
Repeat.
It was good, though. We got to talk to Kevin Hall again. But you know what we have today?
What is that?
We have another amazing guest.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Dakota Bewley. How you say your last name, Dakota?
Bewley.
Bewley is with us. Oh, nice. Dakota is a member of the Soul Searcherz Society, which is a paranormal group, a paranormal research group, and he's here to talk to us about all the things that are paranormal.
Awesome. We love that.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I love having paranormal researchers on here, man. So tell us a little bit about how you got into becoming a paranormal investigator and how long you've been doing it.
Curiosity. Me personally, I started, I do believe, back in 2016 or 2017. I had watched all the shows and I had questions. And of course, at that point, because I watched all the shows, I was very much in the thought process of, oh, it's going to be so exciting and all this stuff's going to happen. And the very first time out, I was very, very, very disappointed. But I learned a few things, and it did end up happening that I had an experience my first time out, which I didn't think anything of it until many years later, whenever I finally had the thought process to go back and actually look at some of the video and recordings that we had done. I found literally a figure walking in the background. Never saw it, never caught it, never heard anything. It was probably 4 years after the fact.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man. So the one question I always like to ask paranormal investigators is, what do you think the biggest misconception is when people watch ghost hunters on TV and then they go do their first? What's the biggest misconception that they have when you're working with a newbie?
All the exciting stuff is not going to happen all the time. I mean, yeah, there's some people out there with the initials ZB that make it seem that way, but that is not the case. And in fact, if you are having something happening that much, that actively all the time, call an exorcist.
Good point.
It makes sense.
It's not supposed to be that way.
Good point.
So I'll tell you this story, and I say that only because I'm only telling this because of what you said. I have a great friend who, and I've told this story on the air, so Jerry's gonna be like, "Oh God, not again." So I have a great friend who we used to go to her grandma's house every Sunday because her grandma liked to cook, and there wasn't enough of them to eat all the food, so they invited us every Sunday. We'd go, and when her grandpa passed, her house became very active to the point that we would see shadows just about every Sunday. We would see shadows. If you, and the best way to know what the shadow was you could go, they had an old radio that had knobs on it. And if you moved the radio station, like from the channel that it was on to like rock and roll or whatever, you could sit there and watch it. It would scroll backward and go right back exactly to the station that Herman wanted.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool. That was my most advanced ghost story that I had. Jerry, didn't you have an amazing question for this young man?
Well, he just mentioned that he's been doing this for years, so I'm sure he's got an absolute ton of very interesting stories. Give us your scariest. Give us your most frightening. What was the one that stands out to you the most, that scared you the most?
When I had, well, it was the whole group. We were investigating at ISS, Indiana State Sanatorium, up in Rockville. And we were getting responses, and we kept on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And we eventually got, we were getting cat ball activity. We were actually getting EMF readings. We were getting, I was doing live audio recording. So I was listening to what was coming in, and we were getting solid EVPs for a good 15-20 minutes. And
oh wow,
yeah, it was one of those moments where I was starting to question whether we needed to kind of back off a little bit, because it was so active. And I kept on saying, okay, well, do it again, show us again. And we got a response saying enough. And we all decided that, it wasn't enough. We were going to push a little bit more. And we got a second response of enough. And we were like, just do it one more time. Do it one more time for us. And about
Third
that
time's a
time,
charm.
we heard, and this was the portion that we were in is a 1-story portion. It's actually, if you ever look at the compound, it's the middle cross section. We were in the middle of that at the nurse's station. And we heard faint footsteps at first, and it turned into running loud footsteps above us in the rafters. And then, we heard the loudest and biggest crack and bang that I have ever heard. Loud and big enough that I immediately grabbed the person next to me and just pushed them out of the way because I thought that a beam was coming down.
oh wow.
Oh yeah. I have never been more scared in a situation than that. Because, when you think that a building is coming down around you, it's one of those moments. And
sure.
we, at that point, we were like, okay, yeah, we're good. We're done. We'll go take a break. And we got a third response right after it saying enough. And we said, yep, that's enough. Thank you.
Yeah, we out.
And after it, whenever I was reviewing back the EVPs, because I had taken off my headphones at that point, I was listening back to it and heard everything leading up to it, heard the big bang, and then there was laughter, pure, like, maniacal laughter on the recording afterwards. So we were like, oh, that's wonderful. So then after that, we actually went back, and we went back to that area, and we were looking around to see what we could find that would have made that sound. And one of the 6x6 beams that was up there right above us had probably 4 or 5 inch crack up through it from where
Holy crap.
something, whatever it was, decided that it was time to try and break something. And that's what it decided it tried to break. We actually had video evidence of that beam beforehand, because we caught it in one of the panning shots that we had. There wasn't a crack. Afterwards, there was.
So I have a real quick story that somebody gave us about is it the Ridges up near in Ohio? Have you heard of the Ridges? It's a old sanatorium type building, very similar to what you're talking about in Indiana.
I have heard of it.
Okay, so when we were at the Bigfoot Festival in Logan, Ohio last year, we had a young man tell us that now they were not official paranormal investigators. They were a couple of guys and a girlfriend trying to act big in the Ridges, right? They'd broken in. They weren't supposed to be there. They were in the basement, and in the basement, it was more like a dock. Like there was a dock that went down into the basement, and then the door opened, and that's where they went in. But that was where they kept everyone in isolation if they were bad or whatever. So these big, huge metal doors, and all of the doors were open. And they were down there, and they were drinking and cussing and carrying on, right? And so they were shouting a lot of profanities, things I'm not going to mention on our show. We're PG-13 here, but, give us a sign, you bunch of blah, blahs, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. They kept on. And as they were getting ready to turn and leave, the guys told me, he said, I just flipped off the air. And when he did that, apparently whatever it was had enough. And every one of those metal doors, there was like 20 of them, slammed shut at the exact same time. And he said, I'm not going to lie. You can ask my girlfriend. I literally loaded my shorts.
Yep. I've been there.
I think we all did. So my question, I only tell that story because that's like really spooky to me. But I say it to ask this question. What kind of energy does those type actions take from someone on the other side? Do you have any idea? Or is that a ghost thing that's not real?
Honestly, from my interactions and my experiences, it just depends. I've had playful spirits do shit like that. Sorry, pardon my French. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I've had playful spirits do stuff like that. I've had maniacal mean spirits do stuff like that. I've had happy spirits. I've had sad spirits. I guess it just depends on whatever energy is already there. And to be honest, I mean, it's not just about like what kind of energy. It's more like, for me, it's more of how much energy it takes. Because if you think about it, us as living humans, we exert energy all the time. And I mean, we can compare to that. And if just like with that beam, if you think about it, that beam, it's a 6x6 beam, which means that it can probably handle about 25,000 pounds of force before it breaks. So, and it's an older beam. It's been up there for 40, 50 years. So, I mean, it's got some age on it. So let's take it down to about 11,000 pounds of force. And it cracked that.
Jeez.
That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of kinetic force to do that. So, I mean, that's the question that I always love asking is, how much energy does it take to do that? Because that is a astounding answer when you do get stuff like that, because it just takes so much energy. I mean, think about it. You having to slam a 150-pound metal door. That's a lot. I mean, I was a firefighter in EMT for 3 or 4 years, and I can honestly say moving one of those big, huge, heavy steel doors, that's a lot. It's a heck of a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. So tell me, how do you like when you go to a place like the sanatorium, do you approach that place differently than you would say a church or even a graveyard? Is there a different approach for different cultural or spiritual histories? I guess is the question I'm asking, because of the energies that may be there. Do you approach those differently?
I mean, well, kind of. Any place that we go, I've always kept the same thought process. You go in there and you're polite. You are not the owner, you're the guest. You are the guest wherever you go when you're investigating somewhere. So you need to try your best to be the polite guest and ask, "Hey, can I come in here? Hey, is anybody here?" You do it politely. And then from that, you can kind of gather better information on how you need to handle it after that. Um, just like with the sanatorium, the very first time that we went in there, it was very much a, well, let's figure out what's going on first, feel the vibe out, and then from there we were able to pinpoint and go, okay, well, we need to go more in this direction. So I mean, it's all a game of politeness, to be honest.
I like that. Yeah. Put it out, you get it back, hopefully.
Earlier
Golden
you
rule.
mentioned, yeah. Earlier you mentioned your Christian belief and the way that you approach it. How has your personal religious views changed or evolved since you began in your paranormal investigations, or has it?
Well, to be honest, it's actually helped me delve a little bit deeper into my belief.
Okay.
Because like with Christianity, the Bible, it talks about the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. So,
Right.
and the Holy Ghost. So, I mean, from day one of the Bible, it's talking about spirits and ghosts. So, I feel like that is a core belief of Christianity. And if you don't believe in it, then how can you believe in the Holy Spirit and the Holy Ghost? So, I
Okay.
mean, I feel like the paranormal is more based in reality, and religion is based off of paranormal instances than what people think.
Interesting. So let me ask you a kind of off the wall question. because that's what I do. Do you think that ghosts are typically older? Like they've been at their spot for like longer, they've refused to leave, or are they more fresh souls, if you will? Like they're recently deceased and haven't figured it out yet. You may not know. I don't know.
My viewpoint on that is actually kind of weird. I believe that the paranormal is quite possibly just phases of different times meeting each other. So, um, have you ever read about string theory?
A little bit.
Okay, so string theory, it actually goes to prove the existence of wormholes. So with
Right.
wormholes, you have 2 points that connect. So with that, it's speaking of space, but when you speak of space, there's space and time, because you can't have space without time and you can't have time without space. So with that being said, I feel like it may just be a connection of 2 different points in time in that space that are overlapping and just happen, you're catching it. Now, that's not to say that there aren't really spirits, but there is the real possibility that you're just interacting with another human being from another point in time at that same space.
Oh wow, that's what a lot of people think about Bigfoot too. That they feel like he's here but not. That he shifts in and out. That's why we can't find or produce proof. It's interesting.
Parallel universe type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said that you're part of the Soul Searchers Society. How many people are actually in your group that are active?
We have the core 4, which is me, my wife, my uncle, and my aunt. Then we have my cousin and her husband, and then my nephew as well, Alex. Alex and my cousin and her husband don't get to go as often as what they would like, but they do still get in and do things as they're allowed with time.
Right.
But the main 4 is usually the most active. So me, my wife Kelly, my uncle John, and my aunt Regina.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I have an aunt that I believe that if she had been able to focus and hone in on her abilities, she could have rivaled some of the great ones. To be honest, as far as because she's so attuned to all that stuff, it's crazy. I've told the stories many times on the podcast about her. So I had another question, and I have a little story that is a ghost story that I like to tell because it's a very small one, short one that I was told last year, and it's one that never fails to put goosebumps on me because, man, I would really hate for this to be my ghost. So, was talking to a guy last year. He told me about his grandfather. So his grandfather and this guy, we'll just call him Don, owned a lumber mill, and the lumber mill was all the way on this side. Don's house was here, and Grandpa's house all the way over here. But they worked separate shifts so they could keep the mill open longer. So Grandpa was getting off, and he was leaving the mill running. Don was walking toward the mill, and Grandpa said, "Hey, Don, everything's running good." And Don didn't say anything, just focused, going straight to the mill. Didn't smile, didn't throw a hand up, anything. Well, Grandpa thought that was kind of a weird. That wasn't like Don. So he stopped by Don's house. Don's wife, we'll call her Mary, answered the door, and he goes, "Hey, Mary, is Don okay? I just passed him going to the mill, and he didn't say anything. He looked like he was really angry." And she goes, "Honey, Don's in here in bed. He's asleep. He doesn't feel good." And they go in there. He was still warm, but he was dead as a doornail. Those ghost stories are the ones that, like, if I'm a ghost and I have to hang around Earth, I don't want to have to be going to work. I've done enough of that.
I'd be pissed off too.
Right? I would be.
Actually, this is more of a miracle story that I have.
Ooh, I like those.
Um, I like I said, I worked EMS and as a firefighter for a few years. And there was one year during Christmas that probably one of the most amazing miracles I've ever seen, been a part of, heard of. It was truly amazing. There was, to preface, there was a woman, we'll call her Rachel. Rachel was an addict. Um, I actually responded to her a couple of times on overdose calls. Um, of course, she survived. And I ended up keeping up with her story. She had lost custody of her kids to her mom and all this other jazz. And after there was at one point where I actually responded to a call on her, and after the call, I was talking to her and I was like, I you're killing yourself. You gotta change. Like, you want your kids back, right? And she goes, yeah. I said, okay, well then let's change. So she started changing. First time that I'd ever seen it. And I was truly amazed. So I kept up with her story. And it got to the point where I would see her out and about and I would ask her, hey, how's everything going? And she got to the point where she was actually fighting for custody back of her kids, which was amazing. It's awesome. And come to find out, she lost the battle. Well, after that, when you lose something like that, you spiral. And she spiraled. She spiraled hard. I lost track of her probably 3-4 months. Didn't hear from her. Didn't see her. Didn't see her around. And I happened to be on shift, and me and my partner were sitting out behind one of the local gas stations on standby. And I saw her. I was like, oh, hey, that's Rachel. Let's go talk to her. Let's go see what's up. About that time, I go to open the door, and I literally just watch her fall. Just fall over. And I'm like, okay, that's odd. That's not good. That's not normal. Let's go find out what's going on. Yeah, she overdosed. So we were literally a minute and a half from the hospital from this gas station. So we worked her on scene for 20, 30 minutes, took her to the hospital, worked her at the hospital for another 30, 45 minutes. And in the state of Indiana, in order to call deceased, time of deceased, everybody in the room has to be in agreement that everything that has been done is enough and we don't need to do any more. There's nothing else that can be done. Well, we had all come to an agreement. Nothing else could be done. So she was declared dead. Now, this is a solid hour or more after the initial fallout, which means that there has been no brain activity, nothing. There's been blood moving around, but it's not good. Like, it's not good enough. So doctor fills out all the paperwork. Death certificate is filled out and signed and is on its way to the coroner. She's getting ready to be wheeled out to the morgue, and I'm standing in the doorway, and one of the nurses at the hospital that I was really close with, we're talking back and forth, and I was like, this is kind of shitty. I really, really, really wish that there was just a Christmas miracle right now. Like, I really need to see something like that because this is just a craptastic moment. I watched this woman go through absolute heck to get to a better place, and then she spiraled, and this is just horrible. She's gonna lose out on her kids and everything. And she goes, yeah, I can agree with that. I wish that there was definitely a Christmas miracle right now. And about that time, this woman sat straight up, took a big, huge breath, looks at me, and she goes, "What the hell happened?" Now, this woman
What?
had been dead, certifiably dead, for over an hour. I
Jeez.
looked at the nurse, and the nurse looked at me, and she goes, "I'm not going to tell the doctor. You can," and left because she was so riled up about it. Because, I mean, an hour of being dead, proven clinically dead, declared dead by a coroner and a doctor and everybody in the room. There was probably 20 people in the room when that happened.
Wow.
And she sat
So
straight up and said, "What happened?"
what did she say? What did she say she was doing? Did she have
The last
anything
thing
or
that she remembers was sitting on this on the sidewalk outside of the gas station, and she looked up and she saw us, and that was the last thing that she remembers.
wow. That's crazy.
Very.
Yeah, after that was all said and done, I walked outside, kind of raised my head, looked up, and said, I see you, I see you."
Amen. I love it.
So after all that, got a question for you.
Shoot.
After all that you've been through, the years of paranormal research, everything that you've saw and experienced, and the story you just told is exceptional. What's the biggest question that you still have that you hope to be able to someday find an answer to from your paranormal investigations?
Why is life so short? That is my one question that I want answers to so badly, but I honestly don't think I'll ever get an answer until I'm dead. But that is my one question. Why is life so short?
That would be a great one to get answered. We'll say that.
Absolutely. So Soul Searcher Society. Do you guys have a page, a YouTube channel? What do you got? Tell us all
We
about it.
we do have a Facebook, a TikTok, and a YouTube. Will not lie, there is not much on the YouTube. There's more on the TikTok. Just because it was readily available and we could do it from our phones right then, right there.
Right.
But we
We
plan on
understand.
putting more up as we do more investigations because we do have more planned this year. So hopefully, very soon we'll have more to show.
That's awesome. And you guys also do 3D printing. You have a little
Yes.
website for that as too. Let's
Yes.
tell the folks about that.
Skunkworks, 3DP, spelled SKUNKWERX, and then 3DP. Just starting out, got printers going. Yeah, it's fun. I started it on a side. Just by chance, the wife got me a 3D printer after me saying for 5 years I wanted one. She finally got me one, and I just started from there. It grew from there. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 printers right now.
Holy buckets.
And by the
Wow.
time it's all said and done, when I have the maker space and everything else up and going, I will
Well,
probably have closer to about 25
Dakota,
printers.
we would absolutely love to have you back to go into further detail about the paranormal.
Yes,
Been
we
an
will.
awesome guest. We appreciate you. If you want to learn more about him and what they do at Soul Searchers Society on TikTok, check them out. If you need some really cool 3D printed stuff, check out skunkworks3dp.com. Dakota, thanks a million for being with us.
Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Seriously.
That was an interesting episode, but our journey isn't over yet. If you stay tuned, we have an exciting bonus story coming up after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthy@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story.
Quite a while.
On New Year's Day in 2024, a massive police response. Over 60 patrol cars swarmed the Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami. The official reason? A group of teenagers had been setting off fireworks and causing a disturbance, which led to panic as some mistook the sounds for gunfire. But then came the twist. Grainy footage from the scene began circulating online, and some viewers claimed they spotted 8 to 10-foot shadowy creatures lurking in the background. Cue the alien theories. Social media exploded with speculation over overwhelming police presence was actually a cover up for an extraterrestrial encounter. The Miami Police Department responded with a firm nope. They clarified the so called creatures were just shadows of people walking around, distorted by low quality video and imagination. Their official statement? There were no aliens. Still, the incident became a meme fueled phenomenon, with people joking about aliens, shopping for Crocs, and grabbing a Cinnabon. It's a perfect example of how quickly a wild theory can take off, especially with paired with just enough mystery and a whole lot of internet creativity. I, on one hand, believe that something actually did happen at the mall to warrant such a big police request or response. Jerry is a big believer that it was simply fireworks and teenagers. What's your thoughts? Today's episode brought to you by our great sponsors, Ed Locke at USA Mortgage and Smoking Gun Jerky of Lincoln, Nebraska. Use code CRYPTID10 for a great discount. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.